Hi, my name is Deanna Payne, and in this video, I will be teaching you how to implement social stories. Social stories is a growing intervention for many children diagnosed with autism spectrum disorders. This intervention was created in the 1990s by Carol Gray. This intervention is one that involves the presentation of a short story that represents good behavior for a child in a scenario they are about to partake in. This story gives the child an idea of the behaviors that are both expected and not expected from them. The presentation of this story before certain scenarios is likely to increase appropriate behaviors for the child. Before implementing this intervention, it is important to determine if the client would potentially benefit. Children who respond well to social stories generally like to listen to stories and are able to communicate their needs efficiently. Next, an observation must take place in order to determine the targeted behavior. After the target behavior has been identified, a data sheet must be made to correctly record instances of the behavior, and an appropriate social story will be created targeting the behavior and giving appropriate replacement behaviors. Step 1 for implementation is to first create a data sheet. Next, you need to create a personalized social story targeting the target behavior. The next step in implementation is to test the story. When reading the story to the targeted student, it is important to make sure that it is read in a one-on-one setting so that they understand and they can ask questions. I can be a good friend. I like to talk and play with my friends at school. Sometimes my friends play with toys I want to play with. When this happens, sometimes I want to grab toys, hit, or kick. It makes my friends sad when I grab toys, hit, or kick. If I want to play, I can ask my friends nicely. My friends are happy when I ask if I can play with the toys. When my friends are happy, I am being a good friend. It is important to include relevant pictures in the social story. Next, you will read the story 3 out of 5 days a week, as you are using the data sheet to evaluate effectiveness. When looking at the data sheet, it is important to look at data before the story was read versus after the story was read so to determine the effectiveness of the story. If there is no difference in data, the story may need to be altered. The next step in implementation is reducing the use of the story. After a set amount of time, the hope is that the story will not have to be read 3 out of 5 days a week. The hope is that the behavior will become learned and the teacher will gradually be able to fade the reading of the story out. How to determine if this intervention is successful? An intervention is considered successful when the child's problematic behaviors are occurring at a significantly lower rate after reading the social story, compared to the days when the social story is not read. This is successful because the implementation of reading the story is having a direct effect on the behaviors observed that the client is exhibiting. This will be determined by collecting data 5 days a week. 3 of the days where the social story is read and 2 where they are not read. By collecting data on both graphs, it will show the effectiveness of reading the social story.